You know, in this life, I recognize how fortunate I am. Fortunate to have had, two parents that lived to an old age, that, my parents didn't die when I was just a child. And I'm really fortunate to have a job that I love to do. That I can stay at my office till 2 in the morning and writing out cross-examination, every sentence, every word, to hope that, in hope that every sentence, every word is meaningful to you. That it's meaningful to this case and meaningful in helping you find the truth of what happened on this day. Because I know this is a great sacrifice for you to be here. And I know that this is the 4th day out of your life to be here. And we appreciate that. But you're not here just for Brian. We are all here for all of us. Because what's happened to Brian could happen to any one of us or any one of our children. And if that day ever comes, you too will have the ability to rely on the fact that when your day for trial comes, that members of this community will show up and they will be your jury, just like your Brian's jury. And the thing I like the most out of all the things I like about my job are the people that I meet. People that are so different from me, looks-wise, the color of our skin, where we were raised, our socioeconomic backgrounds, and in this particular case, even our sexual orientations. And what I've found, what I've always found, was going through this human experience called a trial, that when you spend time with a person, and you just sit and talk with them, and find out who they are, and who they are as a human being, as a person, you discover that, you both have hopes, both have fears, you both have dreams and aspirations for your future. You both want somebody to love and want somebody to love you. And when you spend enough time with a person, you realize that you actually become friends. And in the course of this trial, you haven't directly met my friend Brian Reed. And I'm 46 years old, and I'm proud to say that I not only have one gay friend, but I have 2. And as they taught me, because I was expressing this to him the other day, and his partner Josh says, dearly, not queerly. I was like, yes, dearly, not queerly. And so, but you haven't met him directly, because he was going to testify. But after what their evidence was just nothing, what point would there be to put him up there? You already know the truth of the story. The very moment, the instant he's accused by Anthony DeBay, he turns and tells him, you're lying. I was right in here cleaning this tanning booth. You're crazy. And then the deputy comes and interviews him. He tells the deputy the same thing. It's a lie, the guy's crazy. And the deputy has him give a written statement which says the same thing. Clearly, because it says the same thing, which he didn't do it because you didn't see that written statement put in by the prosecutor. But then the deputy comes and arrests him. Detains him, takes him to the station, handcuffs him to the wall, and again interrogates him for another hour and 15 minutes. And he tells him the same thing. This guy's crazy, he's lying, I didn't do it, I'm in a committed relationship, because how's he supposed to, explain himself? He said, I'm not this kind of person. He didn't do any of this. It's a big, fat lie. And that's what he told him over and over. And so what more could he tell you? And we discussed it. I said, Ryan, if they believe Anthony DeBay, there's nothing you can say to change how they feel. Nothing. Because I don't see any way in the world, because I've never seen so much perjury in my life. But I guess anything's possible. But you did meet Brian indirectly. You met him through his boss, Paul Honkinen. And his boss, is a police officer. And he's a pretty, tough man's man. And even though he would never say it, I think by the way he spoke about Brian, you could tell his affinity. And, you could see his love for Brian. And, you think about what it's like to sit here and be Brian. And you learn about him, who he was, sitting here day after day, and having these ugly, ugly accusations thrown at him. And have to sit here with class and dignity and take it. Because that's the process of a trial. But if you think about his journey, one day, he's assistant manager at Tropitan, doing his job. Laura Campbell walks in, I'll be right back. Hi, Laura, I'll be right back. Goes, starts cleaning, and this guy named Anthony DeBay, who's unbeknownst to anybody who he is. Then, we know who he is now, and we know his ability to lie now, but starts making this outrageous accusation. You're looking at me, you're looking at me. And then from there, being dragged down to the police station in handcuffs, handcuffed to a wall, chained to a wall, for an hour and a half, interrogated, not interviewed, tried to trick, have an officer trick, lie, and deceive, and mislead him. Now, to this point, he, like all of us, would have no reason to distrust the police. I mean, they've never given him a speeding ticket he didn't deserve. And so, he goes down there, he says, I don't need a lawyer. Just, you can question me and I'll answer your questions. And they drill him. 2 different police officers drill him over an hour and a half. Then they release him. And that's significant. Because you heard the deputy say, if I got probable cause that a felony's been committed, I have a duty to make an arrest. And you heard him say, I think you heard him say once, that he acknowledged that he releases them because he doesn't have probable cause. And then, of course, when he sees how bad things are going, he changes his story later. But his words are just words. It's nonsense to help the prosecutor. But then from there, he's released, and 5 weeks go by, and he gets suspended from his job, and then he gets reinstated, and he's working along, and then one day, Deputy Nee calls him on a Friday evening, oh, just meet me to sign a paper. Another lie, another more deception, even though Denis tells he's been cooperative, polite, and, he told us he found him to be credible. And so what does he do? Instead of saying, hey, there's a warrant out for you, meet me down at the courthouse like they do for most folks that, have never been in trouble, he arranges at 6 o'clock in the evening, and he has him meet him somewhere in a parking lot. And what's he do? He arrests him right there on the spot. So that way Brian can spend the weekend in jail, and maybe that'll teach him a little lesson not to not give in to their coercive tactics, whatever he wants to do. And so imagine what it was like for him, sitting in what's called a bullpen in the Oakland County Jail over the weekend with real criminals. And, I know that Denis and Dubé said, oh, well, we didn't know he escaped when we first met him. Please. That's just another ridiculous lie. We know that Denis kind of gave himself away when he says, oh, I didn't know it until he told me he has a partner, and that's usually something that gay people have. And that confirmed it for me. It confirmed it for him? Oh, so, okay. It confirmed what he already knew and believed is what it did. And, it's something he's trying to hide. It's in fact something he's proud of. But it's something that has caused him, I'm sure, a fair amount of snide remarks and prejudice and, that type of behavior from other people. And so now he gets out of jail, and now he has this new task. It's called finding a lawyer. How do you find a lawyer when you've never been in trouble? How do you interview somebody? A very challenging task, you know? To find somebody, especially when you just lost your job, you weren't expecting for this rainy day, and this isn't a rainy day, folks. This is a monsoon. This is a class 5 hurricane that just hit this young man. And then to look around and search for somebody that you have to trust with your life. And somebody you hope and pray will be more interested in truth and in justice than the size of your bank account. And then once you get past that hurdle, eventually getting to a courtroom and having to put your life in the hands of 12 strangers, 12 people who you don't know, to decide the future of the rest of your life. So, it's been a journey for him, and this journey is almost over. And I say to Brian, like I say to other folks, we're similarly situated. And, you know, this is a unique case for me because I've never been involved in a hate crime. I've never, you know, had an accuser who didn't have some motive that I could think of, and who was just a sociopath. But, you know, I said to Brian, you know, the life that you had before December 23rd, I bet you didn't really appreciate that life. The ability to get up and do what you want, to sleep peacefully and soundly through the night, to go use the bathroom when you want to make a phone call, just to watch TV, to spend time with your partner. All those things you took for granted, everything you took for granted before December 23rd, that in the future, you will truly value. You will truly appreciate this gift we call life, that so many of us just take for granted.